Well, this is the second time I recorded this review, and the past recording that I just failed to upload because of I'm recording directly from webcam was far better than this. Anyway, as you can tell from the title up there, I'm actually getting down to some unfinished business and reviewing the World Championship Series, the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship Series, starting with '09. I was going to include all three in the same review because I'm just reviewing the story mode. Well, Reverse of Arcadia, I don't really need to go into a full-fledged thing about because the story mode's good. And I would only be reviewing the story modes because of, the World Championship mode is basically the same thing but with more cards as the more recent versions come about. I would only be reviewing the story modes. And there's not much to say about Reverse of Arcadia because the storyline is just freaking awesome and you should buy 2010 because it's the cheapest of the three and the best of the three story mode-wise. And the differences between 10 and 11's card collection isn't all that profound. So yeah, if you just want a reference, a preference from me of the three, get 2010 Reverse of Arcadia. Don't touch '09, and if you're willing to pay more for just a smattering of extra cards, 2011's okay, but mediocre compared to 2010. There, full review. Why didn't I do that in a full fleshed out video with, talking about why each one is good and bad? There's not a lot to say about Reverse of Arcadia other than it's good, and I don't want to spoil the plotline because it's good. The entire damn thing is good, aside from one or two major quibbles. I started doing the same thing of basically going over what was good and what was bad for 2009 and 2011, and I realized I can't fit both in the same freaking review, just excluding a basic bullet point summary of 2010. So, that has to say something. In fact, 2/3 of the video that I tried to record before the last one that was failed and was actually good, 2/3 of that, when I tried to do all three at once, was just talking about how bad '09 was. So, considering we're 2.5 minutes in, we better get to friggin' crackin'. Why is 2009's story mode so bad? 2009 Stardust Accelerator features you waking up in the satellite district, the slums, as an amnesiac, and you spend the entire game trying to figure out who you are. Problem is, this is basically just a tacked-on side plot that doesn't come to fruition until the plot hole-riddled, aborted fetus of an ending. For the majority of the game, it's basically just, I have the occasional flash insinuating Goodwin has something to do with it, and just tacked in to basically you playing through the Fortune Cup arc of the anime, doing everything you say would do. That's the first problem with the game story mode, in the sense that you were basically doing everything you say would do, and he's still there, and he's doing everything, he's running through the same course of events, but you're doing all the work, and he's basically just somebody that's running your coattails. The only thing he actually does and runs through adversity with is the going through the pipeline to get into the city illegally. As far as getting out of prison after you're both arrested, you're the one that does the duel that enables you all to get out of prison. Getting your duel runner back, you're the one that does the work, and he just happens to be breaking in at the same time and takes advantage of your distraction to get away scot-free without running into any difficulty at all. Oh, and this is the point in which you run into another problem in the thing, mechanically speaking. A stealth mission that is needlessly difficult. So clunkily designed and poorly designed. While some people didn't have any problem with it, I couldn't beat it after 4 tries and just went to get a FAQ. It was so needlessly fracking difficult. These kinds of stealth missions reappear in Reverse of Arcadia, which is the next game in the series, but they're entirely put in there for the plot and aren't there for actual game challenge. They're just there to advance the story, because stealth is required for this element of the plot. They're done properly. Anyway, another mechanical problem is that, you know how I said you went through all of the events that Yusei went through? And if you watch the anime, which I'm assuming you did, there's like dozens of turbo duels that happen from here to there. Oh, you don't fight Jack in the arena before getting arrested. That's the only thing you don't do. In fact, you don't do a lot of turbo duels. And every turbo duel that appears in the anime up to this point is a race. They have no reason to not introduce turbo duels pretty much right away, but they don't introduce turbo duels until well after the game is already underway. Until, in fact, well after you've gotten your bike back. And Reverse Arcadia fixes this again. While they don't introduce turbo duels right away, they do it pretty much right after, shortly after you get your bike. You run one race, boom, you've got turbo dueling, pretty much. And races from that point on are either, oh, I need to get somewhere really fast, and otherwise they're just optional things to do on the side. There's only actually one plot required race, and it's an obstacle course, and it isn't something you would do a turbo duel for, so it's actually done properly. Oh, and the one where you're being told how to run races as a tutorial thing, introducing you to the concept, that's just basically there, and you don't really have to succeed at. So yeah, anyway, back to the plot line, where I was going over the plot line. Yeah, it's the point where you get your bike back. You run to the twins, just like in the thing, and you run through the entire game up to where you've just beaten Yusei and gotten into the finals, where you will be facing Jack in the last bit of the Fortune Cup arc, running through all the events from the anime, exactly as they are verbatim, occasionally having flashbacks insinuating Goodwin had something to do with it, who runs the show, basically. Well, not the show, but basically the city. So yeah. At this point, you have another flashback in which you collapse, and Goodwin takes you away to the underground temple of the Crimson Dragon, and basically clearly and concisely explains to you who you are, because we're in the endgame, and they've tacked on the freaking tying up the loose ends terribly. You're one of 5 clones, and here's where we run into plot lines. Not plot lines, but plot holes. You're one of 5 clones that were created to be fake signers. Who you're a clone of? Never explained. So yeah, there's the real you is out there somewhere, but the fact that you're a clone is basically not addressed after this incident. It's just basically there. You don't go try and find out who the original is. You don't pursue that at all. Basically, 5 clones. All false signers. He explains explicitly that he's going to force all of you to duel in order to cause the Crimson Dragon to appear, and so he can steal the power for himself and take over the world. He explains this quite clearly and concisely, and make sure you know he's an evil guy. And by the make you all duel, I really mean you are there, and he's going to make you duel each one of the 4 in succession, with the same pool of life points in a needlessly difficult scenario, which 3 of them are wielding top-tier decks like Lightsworn and Ice Barriers, which were top-tier at the time, and still are to an extent. So basically, needlessly difficult to all hell, unless you're playing Lightsworns or Ice Barrier as well. So yeah, after this happens, the Crimson Dragon appears only briefly, then dissipates before he can snatch up its power. How he was going to steal its power, I don't know, but you know, whatever. We'll assume he has a means, and it fails. So I was like, oh, I must need the real signers. I better go after them. And I'm saying this in front of you so you know. I'm going to throw all 5 of you away. Remember the fact that he's throwing 5 clones away, because it's going to be important in a couple seconds. And that means he's throwing you away too, and you can do whatever frack you please, because he don't care about you anymore. He not only throws you away, he picks you up and puts you right back where you collapsed, in the exact same position you collapsed in. So hey, you wake up, oh, it's probably was a dream, because I just freaking collapsed and I woke up. Remember that as well. You beat Jack, resuming events like nothing had ever happened. And then, right afterwards, Goodwin walks right up to you, says to your face, make sure you know it wasn't a dream, and reiterates the fact that he's going after the signers. By the way, one of which is your friend, and another one, being Aki, is one that you have at least a passing reason to want to help, because she's a troubled emo chick with big boobs. Boobies are very persuasive. Anyway, just joking there. So yeah, he makes sure you know he's actually an evil guy trying to take advantage of the chosen prophesied heroes and steal their powers so he can take over the world. So hey, you just got Stardust Dragon back for Yusei, basically achieving his end goal for him. So you better hand him his card back and tell him that some guy's trying to take over the world using his powers. Which, by the way, you actually know he's a signer too. I'm pretty damn sure. It's pretty concisely said that, these people are signers. Because marks appear and stuff. It's pretty clear who the signers are. So yeah. Do you approach Yusei? Do you tell him? Nope. You just go back to Satellite and act like nothing ever happened. Even though you know something happened, and you know they're about to get fucked up. And the whole world's about to go to shit. And then post-game happens. Do you have any option to tell them after the end of the game and the post-game free roam starts? Nope. You encounter Aki again. You encounter Jack again. You encounter Yusei times and time again. You can do them all infinity times. Nothing. You never tell them. Oh, and let's not forget, there's just 4 people that look exactly like you, even clothing-wise, running around that were thrown away by their creator that they were the goons of, and that have all the motivation in the world to want to fuck up your shit, all kinds of ways. And then there's an original of you somewhere. That is the real you. Are any of these 5 matters addressed? Not even in the sequel, because none of the games actually share continuity. They were just cast aside. The previous games were just cast aside. So yeah, that's just a terrible, terrible plot hole riddled ending to all hell. That was basically so fucking sloppy. Terrible writing even for a freaking show about saving the world with children's card games. It's bad plot hole ridden writing for Yu-Gi-Oh! To see how I would have addressed these issues and fixed this whole thing, and actually connected it to Reverse of Arcadia, you can actually check out my Stardust Accelerator fic on my AmericanCheeseFanfiction.net account. I might post a link, but I really don't care enough to link to it. And frankly, the Reverse of Arcadia season got kind of weird. And it's also burdened somewhat from past continuity, because it's a follow-up to a thing. I won't promote my fanfic anymore. Just, you can read it if you want. Otherwise, don't bother. It's kind of burdened with stuff from a previous fanfic, which is kind of a sequel to. Anyway, Stardust Accelerator is terrible. I could go into another video about how 2011 is terrible, and what I would have done to fix it, implicitly and clearly and concisely, and it's vastly better, at least in my opinion, and it's probably hard to disagree with. If you want to see a full-fledged review of Reverse of Arcadia, I'll give one. If you would rather me just jump straight to Over the Nexus, which is 2011, let me know. If I don't get any replies one way or the other, I'll just jump straight to Over the Nexus. Because, as I said, Reverse of Arcadia is just good. Buy that one if you're going to buy any of the 3. It's cheaper, storyline's better, and it's not missing all that many cards as opposed to 2011. If you've got a 3DS, you could get 2012 when it comes out, I suppose. Though it will be like freaking full price of a game when you could probably just put up with Reverse of Arcadia if you don't mind not having XZ summons and all the new cards. But there's enough of a difference between the freaking 2 games, card inclusion wise, to warrant buying it just for having the cards. But I'm rambling. If you have a 3DS, just go ahead and wait for that game, or buy Reverse of Arcadia, because it's actually reasonably cheap. Like something you would pay for a downloadable game in Xbox Live Arcade, kind of price. You can get it cheapo, used, and it's a damn good game. I played the Stardust Accelerator story mode twice, just for the hell of it, because I was bored. I played the Reverse of Arcadia plotline 5 consecutive times. Partially out of boredom, and partially because it's a freaking good storyline. If you want me to just go over why the Reverse of Arcadia is so freaking good, give you a freaking spoilers throughout, because every freaking point of it is spoilerific. because the plot line that it introduces is reasonably new, and just throughout includes new elements alongside canon, rather than just being canon with something tacked there. Yeah. If you want to see a Reverse of Arcadia review where I'm spoiling shit for you and telling you why I love the storyline so much, go for that. Otherwise, I'm skipping over the Nexus because there's not much more I can say without spoiling things about Reverse of Arcadia. So yeah, cheezeofages, signing off.